So you want to be Geralt, and really you want to be Henry Cavill in The Witcher. Is this it? Hello, welcome to Bad at Board Games. My name's Brad Lake, and I'm bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Today we're going to be talking about The Witcher and going over in a review. Stick around if you're interested in the experience rating for the amount of money you're going to play, my BGG rating, a couple of pros, couple of cons, and just a general overview of the game. Is it worth your money in the end? So let's jump right in. The designer is Tokast Wozniak, and it's published by Go On Board Games. And I guess they are actually doing the new Kickstarter. I got that wrong on like a Kickstarter preview. I thought it was a different company, but I think I thought it was a different company because they also have this CD Projekt Red on here. So that's probably where I got my confusion in that comment. So the theme, you're a Witcher, you're one of the 5 schools. So this is the Witcher Old World. So you have all the different schools. You got like the Venom and the Wolf and the Bear, and I can't remember what the other 2 schools are. And you're essentially working, trying to get 4 trophies. And the way you collect trophies is either leveling up to level 5 on your attribute track, or killing monsters, or defeating other Witchers. So that's a way for you to win the game, so to speak. So it's a race, but there's different ways that you can win that race. And you would think, and this is a hint to one of my cons, that, well, it's only 4 trophies. This shouldn't be a long, grueling game. That would be your initial thought once you start to play this. So the appearance, it looks really nice. I think this is not the deluxe version, but it still has double thickness player boards. It has a slot for you to be able to put your cards in the back. I'm thinking that this is game trays because this part's really well made. You've got places to put your miniatures, places to put your dice and all your cubes, and your dice, the bar dice that are not easy to read, but they're still nice dice. So they've done a nice job. Now the deluxe version, really, instead of getting chits for your monsters, you're going to get miniatures for the monsters. I'm sure there's an expansion for it. There's several expansions for it. I think all in, you're talking like this was a $400 and up all in Kickstarter at the time. So this is just the base game. I'm not talking about any of the expansions, but they've done a really nice job. I like the map. I like the way it blends with the artwork on the box. A lot of times you can actually get artwork on the box, and then the boards is like done by a completely different artist, almost like they didn't care. The companies are getting a lot better about that now, but it just in general is a good looking game. Lots and lots of cards. There's a massive amount of cards. I'll either show B-roll or I'll show you like me grabbing. This is just a few of the cards. Like there's decks index of cards that you have to deal with and put out and figure out, and that leads us into our mechanics. So it's a 1 to 5 player game. It's best at 1 to 3, and I guess that has nothing to do with the mechanics. That's the best player count. But the mechanics, this is a deck builder, race to get the most trophies game, and then you have a little bit of asymmetry. I think people, when they say asymmetry, default now to root. Nothing like that. All the mechanics and everybody's going to be doing the same thing, but you're going to get a different boost depending on which school, Witcher you're from. But that's about it. And then you're going to have a few like different, if somebody beats you, they're bragging cards that you're going to give them, say something different because of the different schools. But other than that, it's not asymmetric. You are going to be traversing the map, and this is just part of it, so I don't have to hold up the whole thing. But you have all the different places from the books and from the shows that you're going to be going to, and you're going to be taking an action once you get there. Pretty simple, but they have a great story wrapped in and around all of that. So kind of a general overview, you're going to have 3 phases of the game. you're going to take a movement, and that movement's then going to allow you to take an action at that location that you have moved to. And then you can either fight, meditate, which gives you something back, or explore. And then after that, you're going to build your deck. So you're going to be able to draw and gain cards after the fact. So there's those three things don't sound like much, but then there's a lot of complexity in and around the move and actions part, I feel. And I would say that was the biggest thing to overcome. Like, I printed out cheat sheets from BGG, and to make it a little bit easier or to allow people to kind of look at things, because the movement phase, there's a lot of pieces within that, and then you can take when you take your action. So you kind of have to look at that, and then if you fight a monster, then that kind of sidebars things as well. So it doesn't feel fluid. There's some great things about the game, but then it kind of starts to feel choked down and trying to understand, okay, what am I doing here or there? Now, as you play this more, that will kind of go away, and but I think the question's going to be, is this something you want to play more, right? Did you have a good enough experience that then gets you to that 5 and 10 times to be played? So as we move on, so my one pro on this is I love these event cards, and I call them event cards, but you have city events and then you have forest events. And it's kind of one of those same, you notice moss and low brambles overgrowing the ruins and tread on stones that were once soaring steeples. Elves built this place, then tore it down themselves. You can do two things: A, retreat in respect of the memory of the elves, or B, search the ruins. So it's kind of one of these, somebody's reading this to you as you decide you were going to go search in the surrounding areas of the town. Say that you decide to retreat. While the elves have left long ago, traps they left for scavenging humans still work. You step on a stone plate that triggers a hidden mechanism. A spike ball launches, hits you painfully, but you manage to find a safe place to rest and dress your wounds. Then you roll a die, 1 and 2, lower your shield level by 3 during phase 3. If you roll a 3 or 4, discard all of your potions during the phase. And if it's a 5 or a 6, lower your shield level by 1 during phase 3. Now, if you chose to search the ruins, you were surprised to find fresh footprints. When you raise your head, you see an arrow aimed right at your face. The sword is in your hand by the time the elven archer releases. This encounter cannot be resolved with words, and you are forced to fight. Raise your specialty level by 1. You're not actually fighting during this. This is just what happened. You fought. It's assuming you won, and then you get to raise your specialty level. It's on your tableau by 1. But I like these cards. There's several of these. They're good. They're bad. They're funny. And then you do have the city ones, or you have the ones that are, out and about. And so some of them are like, a woman's getting, yelled at by the crowd, or, are you going to help or not? Or some kid like comes up and starts, bad mouthing you, things like that. And they're funny and cute. I think, this is the best part of the game. This is my pro of the game, is this aspect of doing the quests. And they're not quests. It's just an action that you can do when you get there. And I think they're hilarious. You do also have the ability to get quests, and they're all marked and what's going to happen when you do things. I think this is where they're trying to really bring the theme and from the books and the TV show into a game. And I think these cards where you kind of like pick this or pick that as somebody's reading it to you, I think that's honestly the best part of the game. And I wish it was a little bit more streamlined into that part of the game. The con, or a couple cons maybe I have of this game, is that it takes too long. You're thinking, okay, I only have to get 4 victory points. This game's going to be over pretty quickly. This game goes like I think we played it 3 or 4. We've played it at 3 or 4. 3. Just 3. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Sorry. 4 of us. It took 4 hours, and we were rushing that last hour and a half to just try to finish the game. This game comes out screaming. You're like loving it and really enjoying the things that pop up on the cards, and you're moving around the map and, you know, taking actions and trying to do some things and building your deck and getting a little bit more powerful to be able to fight a monster and level up your character. All that's fun. But then what happens is I want to fight a monster, and then everybody else except the other person, one person that's going to roll against you, so to speak, they're using the monster cards when they come out. There's only 2 people involved. So you have this really long time every turn where somebody's doing something and the rest of you aren't doing anything. You're going to have one person reading the card, and sometimes it's funny to hear what those are, and that's great. But when somebody's fighting a monster, you're like, okay, this is fine, but then it just wears itself out. After 2 hours of that, and you're like, we're only halfway done with the game. Like, are we going to be able to finish this? You know, I was in the lead, and I was kind of like fighting things and doing things and I would say kind of side quest-ish stuff, right? But then I was just like, I just want this game to end. So I just started pushing to try to get powerful enough to be able to fight the next level monster and the next level monster and the next level monster. And so it overstayed its welcome by a long shot. Like, I've played 4-hour games. I've played Twilight Imperium all day long. You know, I sit and play Kingdom Death, you know, time and time and time again for 12 hours. So length of games aren't a problem for me. But when you just feel like I just want to get back to my turn, so I really enjoy my turn, and then I'm waiting for it to get back to my turn again, those games aren't fun. And that's kind of my dig with this, is like, if this would have been more about these cards and doing these quests, and maybe you just take this down to like, you get 3 trophies instead of 4 or something like that, something to drastically reduce that amount of time, then this would be more fun. I really found that was that's the thing about this game that makes me not want to play it again. I don't want to pull it out again because of that. The weight rating on this is a 2.87, and I would agree with that. It's not super complex, but I did have to, you know, once again, I had to print out a player aid because I felt like the way you move, you need cards, and you're going to play your cards that have like a forest on them to be able to move to the forest, or you're going to play a card that has the ocean on it to be able to move to the ocean. So there's that hand management thing to be able to explain to people, okay, well, you're going to draw up to 5 like a normal deck builder or whatever the number of cards are, and then you're going to look for these cards that allow you to move here or there, and sometimes you don't have the right one, so then that slows you down, and you're going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go here now and hope for the next round it gets me close enough, these kinds of things. So once you get that, it's not that hard. And I would say, you know, Castles of Burgundy is a medium weight game. The first time you play Castles of Burgundy, it's harder. And so that's a 3.0 weight. And I would say this is easier than Castles of Burgundy, but I think it was kind of weird. I wasn't expecting it to be I had to read the rules and watch a gameplay to be able to understand how the rules were incorporating that gameplay. And, you know, sometimes you can just read one or watch a how to play. I actually had to watch how they play the game to kind of see how all that stuff was brought together. So just kind of realize that. I think there's a little bit more of a barrier to entry to this than a lot of games that I play sometimes. So that's the weight rating. Value rating, it's at $79 for the basic game. I think for the experience, for the pieces you're getting, there's a lot of cards, but the non-card parts, like the double-layered player boards, the actual game board itself, the components for the game tray, the miniatures that you get for your factions, those are nice. I don't think this is a game where you need monster miniatures. I was very happy with these. you're still going to have to use these even if you get the miniatures, because the way it works is you're going to stack them up in piles of level 1 monsters, 2 monsters, 3. So you're going to have to draw these anyway to figure out which monster you're fighting. So then you're going to have a stack of chits and then their monster cards on a stack, and then you're going to have the miniatures like within reach, so that when you draw, then you're going to put the monster out and it's just going to sit there. And then you may or may not, then you start getting monsters out on the board where you're not sure which one's your player, kind of crowds the space. So I'm finding that if I'm not going to really use the monster and the monster's moving around and I'm fighting and things like that, I'm finding like, yeah, it's a cool miniature, but it almost is in my way. So $79, I'm back to the rating. So if this were like $500 for this game, I would say it's a rating of 1. If this were, I would even say $50 or $30, I would say this is a rating of 5. But for the experience you're getting, so it's kind of, I'm wrapping this around my BGG rating, I would say it's a 3 at best. You're getting cool stuff. There's a lot of cards, but, I kind of feel like it's over. You're paying a little bit more than you should. But, like I said, anytime you get game trays, things go up a little bit in cost. Anytime you get double layer boards, things go up a little bit in cost. But I think $80 on Amazon is still a little bit much. So if you start seeing it on sale or things, if you're interested below 70, then it's probably going to start pushing 3.5 to a 4 value rating. Moving on to my personal BGG rating. It is on BGG. You have it's at an 8.1, and I didn't on BGG. It's at a 8.1. Now I didn't look to see how many people had rated it, so that's a bit of a miss on my part. But my personal opinion on this, because it outlived its joy. Like, it was like, I was super high. We were all like, this is so cool. Hour 1, hour 90 minutes, and then 2 hours is kind of like, yeah, this is good. And then it just went boom, boom, boom. Like, it crashed really hard at the end. Like, when you're sitting there over 4 hours, it was over 4 hours to play this game, and it was just too much. Like, so the best I can give this is a 6. I don't know. Like, I would probably play it again. I wouldn't play it at 4. They say the best player counts 2 to 3. I might like this more as a solo game where I could kind of just enjoy these cards, but then it's having somebody else read the card to you and then pick the AB is probably a little bit better, so you don't kind of cheat. So probably that 2 to 3 range is the ideal count, but at 2, you're only going to be able to fight one other person when the Witchers fight. And I don't know, I don't even think we enjoyed that when we fought each other, or when you're doing the dice poker and you kind of steal money from somebody else because you won. Basically, you're playing Yahtzee against somebody else. So there's just that. I don't know if I want to bring it back out. That's why I'm really curious, and I'm going to look into the Kickstarter that's out right now for The Witcher. I don't know if it's Game Founder, Witcher, or Kickstarter, but either way, I'm going to watch some gameplay on that to see, is it more like the story side? Because this is supposed to be The Witcher Old World, and the current one that's out now is supposed to be, like Geralt and Ciri and all of that. So I'm curious to see how they're grouping that, and I know it's a co-op. Are they able to pull it all together so it doesn't just feel like a slog? I really felt this game was a slog in the end, but like I said, it was like, it started like, oh, this is great, 9, 10, and then just started crashing after 2 hours. It was very strange. Not many games end up doing that to me. So it was definitely on the 5% of games that I've played that end up just being like, all right, it's just too long. It's too long. But I've never had one be like so high at the beginning and then so low at the end. What do you think? Have you played this? Are you a fan, or have you not played it and you're interested in it, or have you played it and you're not a fan? Where are you in that spectrum? Are you interested in the current Kickstarter that's out? I would really like to know your opinion. What do you think of the quality? Anything and everything. just comment down below, and I'd love to understand what your thoughts are. And just remember, no matter how you play, whether it's solo, with family or friends, enjoy whatever you are bringing to the table. Have a great night. Bye.